right, this is the Everett City Council Committee on Ways and Means. This is Monday, May 4, 2015. It's at 6 p.m. I have Councilor Del Sola.
Here.
I have Councilor Hanlon. I have Councilor Napolitano.
Here.
And I have Councilor DeFlorio.
Here.
We have 4 members present. We do have a quorum.
Announce
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chairman, if we could please suspend the rule and take item number 3.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Item number 3, this is the order by Frank Capone as president, that the city appropriate the amount of $1,500,000 for the purpose of paying costs for an elementary school feasibility study with respect to the construction of a new elementary school at a location to be determined in the course of the conduct of such feasibility study, including the payments of all costs incidental or related thereto, and for which the city may be eligible for a grant for the Massachusetts School Building Authority.
Your pleasure, Counselor.
If,
Go ahead.
Could we ask the Assistant Superintendent to come up?
Just state your name for the record.
Charles Obremski, Assistant Superintendent of Schools.
Good evening, Mr. Obremski. How are you doing tonight?
Good.
Good. I just want to get a little information. I've had a few people ask me questions throughout since originally the capital improvements, and I mean, first of all, I definitely understand the need for the request here and the need for an additional school. Is there any? And this may be beyond this at this point. Is there any prospective site that we're looking at this point, or is this strictly for adding an addition on the Bavarian?
It would not be in addition to the Gavarian. It would be a separate school. It would have to be, we would prefer it to be in that area of the city because that's where the majority of kids at this time, when you do a study and a map of the city, live, and where our overcrowding situation is. If you know from past meetings up here, we're over capacity at the Gavarian by about 300 students right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So there's not one set place at this point. We've looked at a number of places with the mayor's office and a number of, with the fire chief, police chief, and building inspector, but we haven't come up with one place that's etched in stone at this point.
One spot, one location that has repeatedly come back to me in a few, and I think I understand it to be strictly rumor, but is there any, are you looking at all at maybe the old St. Teresa's property, or is that away from the area that you're looking to put the school?
We have looked at the St. Teresa's property. We have driven there. The St. Teresa's property, in order to make it maximum size for a school, we probably would have to take some property along the side streets and back to square it off. And I don't know if that's the plan of the city, because the school can't take property. It would have to be the city that takes the property.
Mm-hmm.
And the city, in conversation with the mayor's office, they may have another use for that property up there.
Okay.
And
Thank
that
you.
property is for sale at this point in time.
Right.
St.
No,
Teresa's.
I'm aware of that. I've heard it from a few different people, so I just wanted to see if we can get an answer on that and just try to put that to rest. But thank you. Appreciate it.
Counselor Florio?
thank you, Mr. Chairman. I actually have a question for Richard Biscay.
Could we
If-
hold on?
Oh, sure.
Get rid of one. Do you want them both up at the same time? Sorry.
Yeah, it might lead to another question. I'm sorry, Counsel.
Just state your name for the record.
Richard Viscay, City Auditor.
Richard, now this is on the agenda in committee tonight, but if you already gave us this. It's part of the capital improvement plan. Is that correct?
This is,
Or am I-
from what I understand, this is the bond authorization for the items that need, bonds for the capital project. So what I believe we're talking about is just any kind of funding questions or amortizations, et cetera. But I'm happy to answer any questions that you have if I know the answer.
Well, you already gave us the sheet, which was part of the capital improvement plan. You had given us a copy of this.
Well, I modified the sheet in your hand so that you had a breakout of the, you wanted it by department, so I did it by department, and then on the bottom, you can see the stuff that's for debt purposes, but I think there's been a couple of modifications because I think you modified the capital plan, so this may not reflect exactly the bond order, but the bond order you got is,
Right. But, so what I'm saying, it's only one school. We're not doing two schools, one.
one school for a feasibility study, correct?
The other question is, how much, Mr. Obremski, how much are we over in the schools? Is it quite a bit?
Well, I'll give you, at the high school, and I'll use the high school, that was built for 1,800 students. The high school is a little bit under 2,100, so that's over capacity right now also. But each of our schools right now, and I'll use the 5 large elementary schools, the 5 K to 8s, are all at maximum capacity. They all have, with the exception of the Whittier, approaching 900 students. So a school really needs to be built. It wouldn't just relieve the pressure at the Gavarian, it would relieve the pressure across the city, or maybe some students from, if we built it close enough, some students from the Powell Inn could, go over that way, and then maybe some students from the Lafayette could go to the Powell Inn. Not that we would redistrict or anything like that, but just may cause a shift, because, the schools are, as you know, in the last 7 or 8 years, our student population has gone up by almost 2,000 students in about 7 or 8 years. That's unheard of in this area.
Okay, so basically, even by putting the school even in one area, you're just gonna do a little shifting so that all the schools get
We would
relief,
try to
not
do
just
our
one
best
school.
so that
Okay.
all the schools would get some relief
Some relief.
from a new elementary school, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Hanlon?
Thank you, Mr. Assistant Superintendent. Going to sound like a funny question, but I want to find out why are you here tonight, you know?
We have a,
I'm reading what I'm reading here, and it says that the city appropriate the amount of $1 million, $1.5 million. And it's not the school that's doing it. And, you guys are not going to do the preliminary study, the feasibility study. You're not going to apply for grants. And I'm just wondering, why isn't the, whoever does it, we're going to have a school building commission?
that would be the next step. In the process, there is a school building commission committee that is due by June 8th to the MSBA upon your approval, hopefully of the 1.5 million. That would be the next phase, and that would be developed. This is a collective effort.
I mean,
I don't want to say that, I believe I know where you're going, why isn't the city, and the city is here, as you can see, the mayor's chief of staff and the city auditor is here. This has been a collective effort between the school department and the city for a number of years trying to work on this plan.
And the other thing too, one other question is that, do we have a time schedule, like sort of a per child, when it's gonna start, when the feasibility study would be done, when construction would begin, a table, something like that? When we would hope to enter the school?
I'd say we wouldn't enter the school for at least 4
No, I'm
years.
sorry, is there I know you
Yeah, there
probably
is,
know, but
there is a
there
plan.
start?
There is a plan that's set by Mass School Building Authority. The feasibility study is the first step, then hire, going out to bid for a project manager to help design the school. Come up, they have some boilerplate designs to go by, so every school system is not developing their own design. You can go by them and adjust those to your needs. So I would say there is a set plan in place from Mass School Building Authority.
All right, thank you.
Any more
Okay.
questions? I have a question for the
No
chair.
further questions. Yeah,
All set,
Excuse
John?
the cuss, right, thanks.
Just a
Oh.
question from the chair.
Oh, sorry.
You're saying 8,000 students in the last 6 years?
We gained 2,000 students in the last 6 years. We're
2,000?
Yeah, 2,000 students in the last 7 or 8 years total. So we have about 7,100 students in the district right now.
So in 4 years, if this is built in 4 years, this is all approved, in 4 years, we have a brand-new school opening up. You're talking, at that point, we may be looking for another school.
It's tough to say. The enrollment, I will say, from last year going into this year has decreased from what it's been. The prior year was 442 students. I believe this year, I don't have the number in front of me, but I believe it's 195 students, an increase from last year to this year. So it is going down a little bit. I can't say the trend exactly, because if you check with the city clerk, Mr. Matarazzo, birth rates are over 600. So if all those students enrolled in the school system, which we have approximately 450 students at charter schools, parochial schools, I mean, if all those schools closed, we couldn't take all those students. We wouldn't have the room. We
Well,
wouldn't
that
have
was
the
my
room.
next question is,
I mean,
how has it been going the last few years? You said it is going down a slight bit from
slightly.
the years before.
Right, and with the, and as everyone know, hopefully with the construction of the casino, I mean, that may bring in all the residencies that are being built, the Waters Ave project. I mean, there may be another project on board at Market Forge that just sold. I mean, the number of students coming into the city could increase. It's hard to say at this point, to be honest with you.
Pretty soon, we're running out of space for anything.
That's a possibility.
That's right. Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Can we get the mayor before us? Make a motion, we have the mayor before us.
All in favor? Just, we all know who you are. Just state your name, please, for the record.
Carlo Di Maria, Mayor of the City of Everett. Is this a public, am I in part of the public hearing part right now? Oh, I am, okay.
Counselor Handler?
Mr. Chairman, through you to his honor the mayor. I'm not sure if you understood what I was saying to Mr. Obrensky.
I heard parts of it.
I'm just interested in seeing section by section what's gonna go on with this $1.5 million. When phase one is gonna start, when phase two is gonna start, and so forth, all the phases are done. I'd like to see a time, being in that time, and I'm asking you if you wouldn't please provide that to us.
Sure.
Thanks. I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
I just want to correct one thing Mr. Obrensky said about Market Forge, about housing, additional housing. We're not going that route, so we shouldn't be worried about housing coming out of these developments. Most of them are very small units, if they're 1,000 square feet at the most, so we're trying to make them low-density developments. The student population is increasing for other reasons, not
Right.
because of these housing developments. There's other reasons. We all know what those reasons are. Are we gonna, did you want me, I just walked in cold, so.
Okay, that's all.
It's
that's
a committee
all I-
meeting, so, okay, great. So we're just talking about, the need for, do you wanna ask me questions? I know you've had the program for a while. You want me to go through this little presentation I have? It's very quick.
Right now.
Would you want me to
right
go-
now, we're-
We're on item number 3 right now.
We're at 3.
Yeah.
So why am I up here?
Just
Is there an
answer that
agenda?
one question, that's all I have.
Oh, you wanted me to ask that one question?
That's it.
Sorry, Mr. Hamlin.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Maybe I should grab an agenda, too.
Okay. Second.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to motion that we make a recommendation for favorable action, and that we refer this to the next meeting of the city council.
All in favor?
I thought we just did that.
No,
Which one are
she
you
asked for
talking about?
approval, she asked for favorable action. We're a committee, we don't approve, we refer. So my motion is that we refer favorable action and refer it back to the city council.
Fine,
So it can come back to committee again.
fine. Second, whatever, that's okay.
Okay. Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
All right, item number 1, this order by Council Frank Capone as president, that the city appropriates the amount of $17,397,500 to pay the cost of the various items of the fiscal year 2016 capital improvement program, to be funded by borrowing set forth therein, excluding the amount necessary to pay the cost of the elementary school feasibility study set forth therein, including the payment of all costs incidental or related thereto, and that to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the mayor, is authorized to borrow said amount under and pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Sections 7 and 8, or pursuant to any other enabling authority and to issue bonds or notes of the city therefore.
Mr. Chairman, I believe the mayor has a presentation. If we allow the mayor to make a presentation before we ask questions, so some of our answers may be answered, some of our questions may be answered by the
By
presentation.
demonstration, okay. Yeah.
Chairman, make a motion with the, I'll ask the invited guests to step up. Have them all come up. Motion
Motion,
made to ask the, yeah, those,
yeah, motion is to, everybody involved in this presentation,
to please step forward.
please step forward, please.
Ms. Rose
Yes.
involved in this presentation?
Who?
Ms. Rose is
I don't know what she's doing. She looks,
So many people that want to speak. This is a, it's a good thing. And everyone wants to speak on something. I think we've been working on this whole plan for probably the last 8 years, between City Hall, police, and the fire stations, and everything. Tony's here. So if we can, it's just a quick little overview. If you see the first page, the overview, this project will provide the city and its residents with a comprehensive municipal government facility to increase availability and accessibility of services and work cohesively with the greater economic development vision for the city. Facility will include current city hall. This is the, of course, the old high school. And I think you all know, we talked to the architects. You know, we could renovate this building, we'd still have this building renovated and be very costly, or renovate a building that we also own, that the city council wanted me to hold on to, which I'm glad we did, actually. Thank you. Renovate a nicer looking building, which is the old high school, so I'll get back into my, facility will include current city hall functions, and those currently spread throughout the other municipal facilities, including police, emergency communications, human services, veteran services, and elder services. Currently, right now, we have a lot of those in the Conley Center. So we're looking to bring it in. We have a separate building for 911. So we're looking to bring that all to one facility, which would be at the old high school. The process of designing and identifying community need within the facility will include robust public involvement, including an advisory group, public meetings, and other input from residents. I think most of you have known, and I think all of us here have been contacted by, if it's the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, if it's La Comunidad, Luma, or if it's the Haitian community. A lot of these different diverse groups in the community are always looking for community space. A lot of other communities have that community space for them. We currently don't offer any of that. So this new building, I would offer, you know, lots of community space for lots of organizations. Papuana, if they have a, you know, whatever, any group that's having a meeting or something, they need public space, we're gonna have that public space for them in this building. This facility is needed to address the changing needs of the community, which our current facilities will struggle to provide in the coming years. 21st century needs cannot be met with 20th century resources. Cost of repairing, maintaining, and renovating current buildings will become prohibitive in the future. All right, how did we get here? Past studies, RFPs, and public involvement have virtually eliminated the idea of selling the old high school. An important piece of the property for the neighborhood and the city. It is an asset that is best preserved and incorporated into the city's long-term plan. Currently, public service departments are housed across 3 buildings: City Hall, the police station, and the Conley Center. All 3 buildings are well past expiration date for the functionality and efficiency. Our city is growing and developing, and the current facilities are too small and outdated for effective and efficient service. Essential maintenance for the aging and deteriorating facilities is reaching a point of diminishing return. A new central municipal complex will allow not only for much-needed new buildings, but also will unite services essential to residents in one community-based facility. I hope to provide you in your meeting next Monday with cost of, energy costs of these separate buildings, the maintenance costs that we've been spending on these buildings, and hope to show you maybe a comparison of what projected costs would be to maintain and to house. That's gonna be difficult to get all the information, but we're gonna be working on all that. So you can show that there will be, in the long run, an energy savings on this new facility. So City Hall. With the hundreds of residents coming to City Hall every day to conduct business, the failing infrastructure, including but not limited to the roof, the elevator, as well as a lack of space and current technology, made the building a less than effective center of government for the 21st century. I think you all agree. I think you've been in the building, you've seen it. So, you've been down the basement, see the pictures of the basement. The police station, with over 100 officers and 10 civilians, the need for locker space has exceeded the capacity of the building. Lockers are kept in the hallways to allow officers to maintain their duty gear and uniforms on site. Currently, officers carry much more equipment than in the 1970s. The evidence storage space. With the advent of state and federal law mandating the retention of evidence for longer periods of time, as well as departments going after cases that result in a large amount of evidence, there is little storage space to work in. With the advent of state and federal law, okay, that's a typo, double. State and federal law have also increased the retention period for record keeping, which outstrips the current archival space of the department. And I'll let Captain Basteri, Acting Chief Basteri, if you would like to say a few words also, but if you've been in the police station, I don't know if you have, but where they do most of their work is upstairs, their office space. They weren't offices, they were made into offices. Basically, it's the second floor of, no windows, ventilation is very poor. They don't really have the space that we need in a current police station you see anywhere. I mean, you go to any community around us, their police stations are one of the nicest and the best states of arts of buildings are in the community. And ours is old. Look at the outside of it, the architecture of it. It's really just in poor condition. Captain, you want to add to that?
Just to follow up what you said, this is my 32nd year, so I've been in the police station from almost the beginning. It was probably poor design to start with, but as the mayor said, we have all our offices space that we built walls and just converted. We took an old photography room where we did our own, we used to develop our own photos, and that's one of our lieutenants is in that, the lieutenant in charge of detective. Small office, it's a room next to it with a sink and everything for the photography. In order to access that, you have to go through his office. We have, we took out what used to be the armory when I was on, and that's been converted to our evidence room. We have, we had no facility for, when it was built, we had no facility to store records. So we used to keep it in the electrical room, and that electrical room is now where there's lockers for our SWAT team. They have lockers inside the electrical room. There's some of the other, we had no conference room, which we now took, 2 offices to make a conference room. We have, obviously, we didn't have an IT problem at the time. We have, we took 2 offices, broke through a wall and made an IT room, but the ventilation, as the mayor said, is so poor in the city, in the building. We were concerned about all the computers overheating, so we had to get an outside air conditioner drilled through the roof, and we used that. Everything is just makeshift, the whole thing. We obviously, when the building was built, there was a locker room for men. Now we have women, so we had to put up walls, doors. Our lunchroom is attached to the locker room or the gym. So when you're sitting there, people on the, we have since put up a wall and a door, but you sit there and somebody's on the treadmill next to you sweating. The whole, the roof leaks all through the garage. It leaked this year into one of the offices, destroying some computers, the ceilings. Ventilation is very little. It was built as a closed system, so we have put in new windows in different areas throughout the building, but we have to make a decision at the time of year. It's a guesstimate of when to shut, because you can only have either heat on or the air conditioner on. So as the weather pattern is changing, we guess like, say October, we change it over, then we get to hot weather, and we're all, we have long sleeves on. Everybody, upstairs gets, to be 85, 90 degrees. The air conditioner is always breaking down. They've done, maintenance department has done a fairly good job on trying to maintain it, but yearly it breaks down and, it goes up to over 100 degrees.
And that brings us to the HVA system. Current HVA system is 45 years old and is in need of replacement. Total cost is $500,000. Installation of new technology, the lack of cable trays, pipes, and proper environmental controls has cost a nest of wires and crowded servers that crash below the normal expected lifespan. The police station roof and window leaks. In the garage area and around most of the non-opening windows have experienced water leaks from rain events requiring a new roof and new windows throughout the building. In the garage area and around most of the non-opening windows have experienced water leaks from rain events requiring, yes, okay, great. Current state regulations, the police station, detention area plumbing. Current state regulations require hot water in every cell, which is something our cells were not designed with. New detention area rated toilets come to at a cost of $5,000 each without labor. EPD has 12 cells. Vehicle and training space. Current station does not allow enough housing space for current police vehicles, nor does it allow appropriate training facilities for personnel, meeting space, or interview rooms. The new facility. I think you'll know exactly what it will do, but a new municipal complex that houses the offices of the current different departments here will provide residents and visitors of the city of Everett with a current and professional center for government business. The new facility would also provide community space such as an active renovated Rockwood Auditorium, community garden, and neighborhood park and tot lot. New building will create over 100% more usable city hall space and 30% more usable space for the police department, allowing the city's facility to evolve with the changing needs of the community. Then we have a little sketch in the back of the public entry, the new police station, the park. We really try to highlight the back part. A lot of the residents wanted to see more where we have our current gym area. That will be underground parking, lots of grass, community garden. I think you kind of see it. And if we don't want to do basketball court, we can do tennis courts. If we want to make it quieter for the neighborhood, which we could do like a non-active reuse there, just maybe a more passive reuse. We'll take all the precautions of lighting and trees and installation of cameras just to make the neighborhood really feel like they finally got something in that neighborhood. They've dealt with this building for a long time. Tony wants to just kind of, maybe Tony, if you want to highlight just the building itself quickly?
Sure. And good evening, everyone. It is great to be here first time. Tony Sousa, Acting Director of Department of Planning and Development. Thank you. So what you see before you, and as a planner, I'm very excited about this project and the general Everett Square and the developments that we're seeing that have taken place, and looking forward at the old Everett High School and also at this facility as well. And as I said, as a planner, this is a very exciting time. Everett Square is, what I like to think that's the jewel of the city, and a tremendous amount of potential. When we look at the redevelopment of the old Everett High School, and also the potential to even consider this facility as an attractive mixed-use facility, we think about, in planning perspective, different economic and development opportunities. And over the years, as this council well knows, the mayor has been, and the administration have been working very hard on different planning initiatives. Forthcoming is a potential for a comprehensive master plan in our community to look at transportation, housing needs, economic development, community development projects, and so on. We also have underway a transportation study in the city, looking how to enhance not only Broadway but also citywide. And given the central location of the Everett High School and also this facility really draws the attention of the attractiveness for a TOD, what's called a transit-oriented development. Tremendous amount of opportunity not only to add for mixed-use development here, but to complement existing developments that take place and create some additional synergy for our area. Coupled with that, looking at Everett Square, Broadway public investments, thanks to the mayor and this council as well, the Norwood Street Broadway redesign is something we'll be looking at very soon, and actually, in fact, in the coming weeks, to enhance the area. Couple that with the different programs that we have in place for businesses, for development of Everett Square, best retail practices, storefront sign and awning program, and again, talking about investments in the area, the 9/11 Memorial and so on, really draws attraction to this building and the old high school as key anchors for old Everett High School, for a new city hall, and here as an anchor for potential private development. Again, echoing that, the opportunities, as I mentioned before, the centrality, the significance of this location is that it's all here. Everett Square, retail services, schools, daycare, middle schools, it's all here for us. The next slide is actually one that I particularly, if we may just go back one for a quick second, just highlights the location of the old Everett High School, and the circle that you see there is about a 3 to 5 minute walk. 3-minute walk if you walk fast, 5-minute if you walk slow like I do. And as you can see, that given area, the need for community gardens, within that scope, limited open space, need for parks, tot lot, and so on. Again, the attractiveness of that parcel coupled with City Hall makes them both for key jewels for this area. Now, on the next slide, again, from a planning perspective, from all that we've done in the past with, as we have ongoing Commercial Triangle Master Plan, Lower Broadway Master Plan, and moving and looking ahead, the need for public involvement. And rest assured, from community development planning perspective, we believe that community involvement needs to begin on right from the start. It's about community engagement and communication. We include all stakeholders in the planning process from the beginning, and the objective is to set community goals and vision for the development projects. As the mayor mentioned, the need for an advisory group and continuation, working with everyone here and the general public. So that way we have a great development project, both here and also at the old Everett High School. So with that being said, that's my little piece here, and thank you for this moment.
So, I mean, you may have heard some news now about this building where we talked about possibly converting the fire station, and having talks with some of your members of your city council and some members of the public. I think most people would like to see a reuse here, retail on the first floor and some sort of offices, or either reuses upstairs with a nice parking lot in the back. And we have identified a location for a future fire station in our urban renewal plan. It was the Exxon building that's down on the Beecham and Bow Street area. That's where we're going to pursue. And the chief's here tonight. Actually, the chief's been down there with Deputy Chief Hickey. And they're, I believe that they're probably more than satisfied to go down there. And, as we know, we're keeping Elm Street. And then we're going to look at, probably decommissioning one of them, probably Central, and possibly just keeping Hancock and doing that small renovation, just so we have 3 stations. And the reason why, because the equipment today that we're ordering, and the chief could, it's not in this plan right here, that you did approve $3.5 million last year for fire. We plan on maybe coming to change that reauthorization of that bond, right? Do we have to change it if we want to do something differently, if we don't want to renovate Hancock with it? We have to repurpose it for a different station. That may be for the location down on Lower Broadway. But we will be coming to you with an aggressive fire department reuse. I've been in Central. Sad to say that I'm the mayor of that building. It's definitely needs a lot. Especially when you're using the toilet on the second floor there, and there's a wall that's exposed and there's asbestos all over you. It's a little disheartening, and I think it's a little disheartening to the guys and gals down there. So that we're gonna be coming to you very soon with that, but, I think most of you know, and I mean, Rich is here. Rich will definitely talk about the financial breakdown, scheduled time. I'm sure Melissa would like to add something in also. But I think it's time that we really, we're telling residents, we're finding residents who are not maintaining their properties. We're actually gonna be coming to you with some changes of some codes on some properties regarding, you know, whatever the case may be. Maybe just a blight issue or what's the other word I'm looking for? Nuisance issue. We're going to be coming to you with some nuisance laws on properties. And I would say, I don't know, 4 out of 7 of our buildings, 5 or 7 could be getting tagged for certain things. Just, you know, aesthetically, maybe from the outside they look okay. But if you went inside some of our buildings, you wouldn't want people living in them. So, you know, people come to this building on a day. We have a lot of more action here. You see tonight at the ZBA, you have a hotel coming on to taking over in Ward 1, I believe on the Parkway, taking over the old Chair Factory, looking for some relief, but putting 100-unit hotel there. You're going to see a lot of new growth. Can I give you those numbers now? No, but I can tell you this plan is affordable, and Rich can show you how. And we keep maintaining our current infrastructure, streets, water, parks. And if we wanted to, we could actually even significantly decrease taxes if you'd like. We could start doing that also. So, I mean, we have capacity to do a little bit of all that. So maybe, Rich, would you like Rich to give you the breakdown? I know this is a committee. I know basically at the end of the day, it's probably going to be sent up to the whole. And I don't want to keep you here as long as, you know, I know you have a couple other pieces. Would you want Rich to just kind of talk about the finances?
Well, I don't know
There's 2
what
slides
the
in
rest of the board wants, but my recommendation is that you do the breakdown and give it to the committee on Monday night.
Sure, there's 2
Because
slides.
that- we're gonna ask the same questions all over again.
There's only 2 slides in here on finances, and I didn't want to overburden the slideshow. But basically, at the end of the day, on the left-hand side, you'll see the total cost estimate for the City Hall, police with the parking and the open space. And right now, and it's very hard to predict a number for this now, but this is the number we got, so it's the number we want to present to you, $88.5 million.
That's the highest.
Of that, there's over $8 million of contingency in there. That's just the way the OPMs do it. They always want to put in some contingency money. But on the right-hand side, what we did is we took the existing square feet of City Hall and the police station and applied the cost of renovating the old high school to to the existing stations. And you're talking about $46 million it would cost just to renovate the current City Hall and the current police station using the cost estimates that are being applied for the new City Hall. I'd also want to point out that the current City Hall is only half as big as the new proposed City Hall, and the police will be getting about 30% more space in the new facility. So just to give a comparison on how the numbers correlate. And then the next slide is basically a timeline. So I know the big concern is, of course, $88 million, how we're going to pay for that. Well, this is going to be a multi-year project where the first $3 million is up there. That's right now fiscal year 15. We envision that a timeline for the second phase of design and maybe 10% of the construction be done by the end of next fiscal year. The bulk of the construction will be done in 17 and 18, and the full debt service won't come on until fiscal year 19. So if you're not familiar with it, or if anyone's at home watching, it's not as if you go out and borrow $88 million on day one. You go out there and you do temporary borrowings. You do interest-only payments as you do construction in progress. So the funding for that, once it comes fully on board and the bond sale happens somewhere in fiscal year 19, you're not talking about a full complement of principal and interest payments until well after the new resort will be open and all those dollars for public safety and the community will be coming in. So the short-term debt is very affordable while construction phase is going on, and then when we eventually sell these bonds, I'm fully confident that we will have the capacity to fund this project without affecting taxes, because again, you're talking about maybe a $6 million debt payment at the height when we should have upwards of $30 million coming in annually with regard to the resort casino, and that doesn't include all the excise taxes from rooms and meals and development that spawns off from that. So I'm confident that the dollars will work. Just don't want anyone to think that that $88 million is going to jump out at you and be on next year's tax rate or anything like that.
Rich, can I ask you a question? Is this a 30-year or 20-year we're doing it for?
It's typically a 20-year. You could actually apply to the Department of Revenue to get 30-year. Just want to make sure that the useful life serves it, but my debt's structured on a 20-year. You can certainly go out 30 years and bring some of those payments down. I mean, you incur a little bit more interest because of that, but depending on where the rates are there and how things lay out, I can put it in a forecast, but I did it on a 20-year note just to be consistent with the law.
And that's fine. And the key thing here is that the highest debt payment would be, at the max, would be $8 million would be the max.
Actually, I have 6.5 million. Would be-
6.5 million.
The highest would be in 2020, probably be 6.5 million. That, not only will the casino be open, but just for your interest, that'll be when the
Power plant.
power plant will come off of the 20-year agreement, and it's about when $4.5 million worth of debt from the schools come off. So
Right.
it really dovetails in very well with the long-term forecast.
Right, and that's actually key too. So $4.5 million does fall off from the debt from the schools. Though we will be looking at another project coming off from the schools, it's not as big as the one we did, all the 5 brand-new schools. So you're seeing a reduction of $4.5 million on your debt schedule. You're replacing it with maybe $1.5 million more, maybe 2 with the new school. And now you're also bringing in 6 for mitigation from the hotel. And that's not talking about the regular taxes or the other new growth, like this new hotel coming down the line, and all the changes that are gonna happen in the city. So, so I'd love to hear from some of you, members of this committee, and to garner your support for this.
Councilor Hanlon, do you have a question?
I have a lot of questions, Mr. Chairman. And I'm not being smart. I just don't know how we're talking about this in this committee. How did this get here? This isn't on our calendar.
Oh, it's a bond authorization.
Is this the 17 million?
It's a 17 million bond authorization. So that 17 million bond authorization is 3 million of that or so that starts this process.
Okay.
It starts the process for the city hall and police.
Okay.
So,
Excuse me. We're just hoping that it comes out with favorable recommendation, and we need a vote next week at the city council meeting to go forward with the bonds. So this is the committee that is supposed to bring out the bonds with a favorable action.
so first it would be this first 17, but 3 of it's for this plan. So if it was to be denied, why we wouldn't want to spend the 3 million. But hopefully it won't be. But we'd also, for Monday night's meeting, what we'll do is mail you the debt schedule. We'll mail you all the things we just talked about, what's going to fall off, what year, what comes back on what year, and what effects it has on the budget, without the new growth numbers.
It's okay, I understand. that.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're just talking about 3 million of the 17 million.
Correct.
It's okay.
Right.
If the, if I can still, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
I'm thinking about the old high school now, okay? The addition to the old high school, is that part of this play? Is this gonna be part of this new building?
The addition, the current addition now,
Yes.
it will be gone.
So all gonna be left is the granite building?
All that's going to be left is the first original building, correct?
Okay.
Is that what it's called?
Right.
Is it made out of granite?
And
Is
are
that
we
what you said?
talking about housing all of these things in that old building?
We're gonna attach a new police station,
Okay, that was in the bottom left-hand corner?
bottom left-hand corner, correct?
And I see the green area, that's gonna be the rec center, what's up there now, the field house is gonna go?
No, that would be all public space. That'll be all outdoor public use, garden space, passive green space, could be tennis courts, basketball courts, tot lot. As we design that, we can definitely get input from the neighborhood and from you also.
Can we arrange for a walkthrough for the city council as the building is now? So
Sure.
that we can see what's in there and
Sure.
what it looks like and what we're gonna remove and so forth and so on?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'd like to see that
Okay,
sooner rather than later.
okay. Well, you can get yours if you want.
Anything?
I mean, anytime. I know if you want to come tomorrow or something, we can do that.
Are we talking about replacing the armory too? The Conley Center, sorry?
No, we're talking about just taking the services that are there currently for the veterans and for the council on aging.
Yeah.
The dinners and dances will still be there. But the vet services and I think the ELL program and human services, because they all come to City Hall all the time, and then we have to send them down there.
Okay.
Um,
All right, no, that's good. I don't really need a long answer. I'm concerned a little bit too about the parking, because I think the people that were here talking about the design of the building said there were gonna be 70 parking spaces.
For City Hall, correct.
And how about the police station?
Was it 55? And then
55 for the police station?
inside, and then outside, we were gonna do some perimeter parking around the building.
Okay. Now, with all these things and all these people coming down, there's gonna be enough space for people to come in and park there too?
But right now, I think we have 40 spaces, I think it was.
What do we have out here?
I think, what was it, 45? So we're gonna almost, not double it, but, add 30 more.
Okay. The other thing I was looking at is the city hall, and I don't wanna sound like I'm beating a dead horse here, but I'm looking at these pictures, and these are things that should have been repaired a long time ago.
Yes.
I'm looking at, it's just a wall board here, I mean, a mop board on the bottom. The panels on top could be replaced, they're easy to replace,
Yeah, once you replace them, then you have to deal with all the asbestos.
Yeah, but I'm.
And that's what we're afraid of. That's why we put rug down and we retile the floors.
Right.
Because once you do
I
that, you
know
gotta,
that,
yeah.
we started that, yeah. But it's just that I see a lot of things here that maybe we could repair, and I'm not saying the building is good.
Yes.
I mean, I know, but I just don't like the pictures because it shows that there's been a lot of neglect in the building,
Well,
and that's okay. And the original, so you have over 100 officers and 10 civilians. That police station was built for 103 people. And so that means that we're only, like 7 over. But I understand we've had lots of new departments, lots of reasons for making new areas and everything, especially when you said for the female officers. I can understand that, but it's not that the building was small, because the building was made up of 103 officers at one time. And it was a lousy building to start off with. I found, before that was turned over to us, I found 103 errors in that building that we had corrected. I don't know if you were around then, were you?
Started in 83, no, just after it.
But there was lots of errors in that building. I don't know if they were all corrected or not. Yeah, and some of these things, this is, and I don't mean to say anybody's wrong, but this is just a thing of people not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Those should have been all cable tied and put into place, so these wires look terrible, and I hope what you do, anything new, it's not gonna look like this, because this is just wires stuck up and hung up there, New things should be cabled, should be tied into the walls, and so forth. So I know when it started, I knew it was like that, but this is what happens when it gets old, and we don't wanna see that going on up here.
well, I think in maybe their defense, it probably wasn't adequate space to add that stuff because of the way it was built.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you have to put, I'm the last person to answer questions about updating technology. Sometimes I have a hard enough time sending emails out, so.
Yeah, no, I'm not, terribly against this thing, but I just wanna, what was the thing I said here? Did you mention the fire station going to Lower Broadway?
We did. We have that in our urban renewal plan. We have the old Exxon building that's on Beecham and Bow.
Which one is that?
It's that brick building that's kind of falling apart.
The tall one, like the 8-story building?
Yeah, yes,
What would that be?
fire station.
Okay, you're gonna have
Not that
plans-
building.
You're gonna have plans for that, right?
We're gonna bring those to you
Okay.
when we're ready.
Uh,
Problem is, we have to do something.
The other thing I'm looking at now is the financial breakdown and the scheduled timeline, and I see that FY19 is when it's gonna be all completed and everything. And I just wanna add this in, I hope that we're not looking for a building to fit into FY19. I think we're looking for something to fit into like FY59. This building, we want a building that's gonna grow and have space in it and so forth. And we don't wanna say, this is what we have now, this is what's gonna go in there, we're all set. Because tomorrow it's gonna change, we're gonna need more. So we need more than we're coming up with now, especially police station, because, law and order things are going, we'll have our own forensic lab pretty soon, things are getting so bad, But anyway, okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Counselor Floria?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want some of the members here that weren't on a couple of years ago, that we tried to sell the high school, and the bids were terrible. What did we get, like 2.3 million, I think was the highest we got, and we weren't
I got
gonna get
3.5.
money till 5 years later. It wasn't even something that they were gonna build right away and bring in tax revenues. So this was the reason why that we didn't wanna sell the school, because it just wasn't financially right to do that for the taxpayers. So I just want everybody to know
I think
that.
you get if you were to put both buildings up right now, this building and that building up for for sale or an RFP, I think you get more people interested in this building than that building.
Yes. But I just want you to know that I was on that committee with former Alderman Robert Van Campen and Mike Mangan. There was quite a few of us there, and we spent a lot of time to really look at everything to make sure that we weren't making a mistake. So I'm glad we made the right decision, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Councilman Napolitano?
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening.
Okay, first off, okay, we're gonna borrow over time with this, by the end of fiscal 19, year 19, we're gonna borrow approximately $88 million, is that correct?
Correct.
When's the principal paid off?
2000.
I put together a pro forma debt schedule for fiscal year 39, which would be 20 years once principal kicks in, but the amortization schedule could be modified, it could be extended out with approval from the Municipal Finance Oversight Board, but 20-year amortization on a building is typical, and that's what I used.
All right, so based on that and the interest-only periods, we're looking at having everything paid off for the new building, you said in about 30 years?
20.
Fiscal year 39, so.
20 years.
20
20 years from
years
nine-
plus
20
3
years
years
from
of interest.
19.
Say 23 years, 3 years of interest only, then principal payments kicking in after that.
So then, at that point, we own a building that is roughly about 110 to 115 years old. Is that correct?
What's that?
So by that point, we now own a building that's approximately 110 to 115 years old.
Well, one building, you mean the old high school?
Yes.
Yeah, one building. The police station will be brand new. But if you want to find a building built like the old high school, I challenge you to find a building built like that way.
That's not
Like the
point.
church across the
That's-
street.
That's not a point I'm looking
Those
at.
buildings are built to last,
Yeah,
not
I
the stuff that
understand.
we use today.
And I'm glad to hear that the fire station is now being considered down in another area, because one of the big concerns that I had, being an active leader in the Immaculate across the street, is that we're potentially talking at our last meeting of placing a fire station directly across the largest Catholic church in the city. That means every wedding, funeral, bar mitzvah, everything, not bar mitzvah, but baptism would be potentially interrupted by any time there's a fire or an emergency. So I'm glad to hear that that's been shifted. But I won't go in, I don't want to go into the fire station right now because, again, I still want to talk about the city hall there. So now, we're talking about 25, 30 years. Now, during this 5-year layout here, you've got on the scheduled timeline, where we're going to be borrowing up to $88 million and increasing the city's debt service. Where is the funds tied into this same time frame for the additional school and the new fire station?
Yep, we'll bring that all to you.
Yeah, that's not what I asked. What I asked is during this 5-year period, because you're not telling me that you're gonna make the fire department wait another 5 years. I mean, honestly, the money that came from the power plant settlement was supposed to repair one of the firehouses. It went in to build the new city services. The money from the sale of the old city yards was supposed to build a new firehouse.
No, it wasn't.
Somewhere else.
The
Yes,
money's
it
from
was.
the old, no, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
No, I was the mayor at that time.
No, actually, Mr. Hanlon was the mayor at that time.
No, I was the
remember
the mayor when the city yard was closed, sir. I was the mayor.
When the city
We used the
yards
money
was-
to build a stadium.
Right, but I'm talking about when the city yards were
When the city
sold.
yards
When
purchase was,
Mayor Ragucci came
when the
before
city
us
yard
and
sale was
proposed building
completed,
the city yard.
and check in hand,
Yeah.
I was the mayor.
Yeah, go further back. And that's my.
We
and
put
that's
out,
my
we
point.
put it out when Mayor
Right.
Ragucci was the mayor, when David left
When-
office and
when-
John came into
when
office,
Mayor
correct.
Ragucci proposed the new city yards, his proposal was that the sale of the old city yards would go to offset that funding. That didn't happen. The point I'm trying to make is that, in addition, this is not just, we're not talking about $88 million here. We're talking about $88 million, plus the cost of a new fire station, plus the cost of the new school, plus the cost of a new rec center. At what point do we continue to borrow against money that we don't have? Because I understand that, we're talking about money coming in from the casino, but to date, we haven't got any money from the casino.
Yeah.
And that means if we're borrowing against the potential of that money coming in, we're spending money we don't have. And I have an issue with that, because I see this as not $88 million. I see
We
this
spend
as-
money every day we don't have. It's called taxes. They come in on a periodic time. We propose a city budget, and we believe through assessments, we're gonna receive money for You vote on a budget,
But
you
this
vote
is
on a budget
borrowing.
every, let me
This
speak.
is borrowing
Let
money.
me
This is not a
speak.
budget.
You vote for a budget every year regarding monies you're gonna receive. You don't know that you're gonna receive those monies, but you've always voted on a budget that you think you're gonna receive those monies. You do that all the time. Now, let's not play any games. These facilities need to be improved. You wanna renovate the buildings, you're wasting dollars in my sense. In my building sense, you're wasting money. It's a waste of money. We can afford it regardless if the casino came on. We have plenty of capacity to bond. You heard the auditor say, in about, I don't know how many years, but the money, I think in 4 years, 5 years, the monies that we borrowed from the school plan, is that debt, 4.6 or $5 million, is erased, is gone. This is how cities operate, this is how business operates. This is how Mr. Wynn's building his $2 billion casino. He went out and borrowed the money. People don't come up with, they borrow money. It's cheaper to borrow money than use your own money. We are borrowing money to improve services. You want to be against it? Fine, be against it. That's okay.
I'm asking questions.
We can operate like this forever.
I'm
I don't-
asking
For
questions.
me,
I haven't
because
said
I'm going to be
where
honest
I'm
with you,
in favor
I am
of
not
this or
doing this for me. I'm doing this for the city, for the people that work here, and for the people that live here. These buildings are deplorable. This building, the fire stations, the police station, the 911 facility, everything. There's not one building I can say that looks good, other than the schools. That's the only thing we've invested, which is a great thing. It's the only thing we've invested in municipal government is schools. But we have not invested in ourselves, not once, which is shameful. I can have this place packed with 100 firemen and 100 police officers, and everyone who works in City Hall, if you'd like. If that's what I have to do, that's what I'll do. But I think a conscious decision is, let me present you next week with the monies we spend to maintain these facilities, the monies it costs to heat these facilities, like Captain spoke about earlier, about air conditioning and heating. That's how we have to operate here. Today, we gotta put the air conditioner on. Tomorrow it'll be 50 degrees, we'll shut the AC down, turn the chillers off, and we can't even turn the heater on anymore. I mean, Pete, I'm being honest with you. We have to do something. I'd love to sit down with you this week, kind of go over the numbers, if you're free, just to get you on board. I know we've had this conversation, you're very wary of taxpayers. I am also, but we can afford the plan. We really can. And I'd like to show you how we can. I'd like to, show you what we're spending on you see it in the budget, the amounts of money we're spending on heat and electricity and maintenance costs. I want to show you that it's a good plan, and it's going to plan that's going to last a long time. Further than you and I and the rest of it, maybe Mayor Han will still be here, but then the rest of us will be here. So it's just a good opportunity for us. I've been looking at this for now 8 years. I was actually looking at this since I've been on the Board of Aldermen. I was also on the Alderman when we got that gift from District Gas, and Chief Butler told us Central Fire Station was okay. And we never spent that other $500,000. I razz him a lot about that. And Central Fire Station definitely needs. Problem is, we have to special order vehicles.
Well, I'm actually well aware of that, because I was involved with,
Right.
initially a few years back, when we were doing the research for the new fire truck, and for the pumper that we did get, and the ladder. So I'm actually very well aware of that.
Good.
We have to modify our vehicles
Excellent.
to make them fit the barrage. And I'm not questioning the need. But what I am questioning is that you sit there and tell me that I'm opposed to it, and you don't really know where I stand. I'm asking questions that are being asked of me, and if I'm asking you questions that you're not comfortable answering, that makes me suspicious. Because I'm looking for an answer, not to be told that I'm opposing a project that I haven't voiced my opposition or my approval either way. Now, this is a lot of money. You want to bring 140 firemen in here? That's fine. I'll go one better. The city charter and the state laws do allow the city council to put this question on the ballot. Perhaps instead of bringing in 140 firemen, who we know damn well need a new station, perhaps we ought to let the voters decide this November whether or not this is a feasible approach to go in the hole for another $85 million.
Let's see, you use the word go in the hole.
Well, if
It's
you're
not- it's
borrowing
not-
money,
it's not
you're
go-
increasing debt service, which is going in the hole.
You have to borrow money to maintain the facilities too, so it's either we spend 88 or we spend 44.
Why is that, though? Where is the other funds that are coming in through tax revenue and fees and fines and all these other things that come about? See, the thing is that we are continuing every year to go deeper in debt, to get more things done, and there's no progress here. And we're still being told.
There's no progress where?
We're still being told that the
There's no progress here
solution
in the
is-
city?
We're still being
You must be
told
looking at
that
a
the
different city.
solution is that we're getting money from wind, and the.
I told you,
the-
don't
the-
even
the-
use, don't even use the wind factor. We don't need the wind factor. That's just gonna be more money for us, okay? We can afford the bonding of these projects. I
Eventually,
wouldn't
the
bring
money
you a
has to be
project
paid
that the
off.
city cannot afford.
Eventually, the money.
Eventually,
has to be
these
paid
buildings
off.
are gonna fall apart, and then you won't have a building to operate in. You won't have you won't have a building to operate in because these buildings are going to fall apart.
My
And we'll have
question then
claims
is
against
not why do we
employees
need a
who
new
do not want to
building?
work in buildings
My
without
question is,
AC
why
and
hasn't
heat.
the building been maintained?
When I speak, can I speak?
You talked over me.
I never spoke over you. I let you
Gentlemen.
finish. Okay, what's the question, Pete? Oh, Councilman.
My question is, when you put it that way, is why have we not been maintaining the buildings?
We haven't maintained the buildings, but it's just so much you can do. I mean, if I have to rip up these floors, do you know how much money I got to spend on abating all this asbestos, and then where am I going to get rid of it? I'm afraid to even check how clean the air is coming out of
But
this
you're
building.
going to have to come up with that even if you demolish this building or repurpose it anyway.
No, we get
So
rid of
you're
it.
not- You're
Our-
not, you're not changing anything.
If we demolish it, you just demolish it, and you get rid of it, and you have to pay a place to get rid of it. But the plan is, and it actually came from one of the city council members in this board, it was a great idea. It was you know, it was told to us actually to our planning department that the business community would rather see some more businesses coming here on the first floor and some offices on the
No
above.
question.
Yeah, so I mean I think that right there, that's not factored in here. The sale of this building is not factored in here. This potentially could bring you, I don't know, $5-10 million. So we're not factoring that.
All due
We're not-
respect, I heard that record played when the old high school was proposed, when new high school was proposed, that we'd get money back from the old high school. I heard that song and dance back when the new city
I'm
city
not
services
song- I'm not- I'm not singing
were
and dancing.
created. The bottom line is that when every project we've done with the expectation that city property was going to offset the sale, that has not occurred.
Have you seen it anywhere in the project? The city, the money offsetting it? No.
You just told
I just
us
said
that
it. Have you
the
seen us
building's
using
worth
the
more.
numbers? You're telling us when we leave this building that we're not going to get anything for the building?
No, but what
Can
you're
we, all right,
telling
can we
us
say
is-
we'll get 100,000 for it?
But what you're telling us is that this is going to be an $88 million project over 5 years.
That's the high end, yes.
And in that 5
I gave you the
years,
highest number
we are
possible.
going to be building a new fire station, which we need more than we need a new city hall. We're going to be building a new school, which we need more than a new city hall. We're going to do improvements down the rec center. I heard you mention something about a pool. I mean, that's not going to be a cheap project. So with all these other development projects happening within the next 5 years, we're going a heck of a lot deeper in debt than $88 million. And I'm not one for increasing our debt service beyond the point where the average income of a resident in this city cannot afford to pay this. If you go back and do some research, like I did as I'm sure you have as well, but if you look back at the city of Chelsea, it's plans like this that created their problems. You know, I don't want to be 10 years from now, 15 years from now, getting a call from my daughter saying, what's going on in the city? The city's under bankruptcy. I don't believe we're ever going to get that far. But this type of aggressive spending, I do think risks the potential. And I'm going to be honest with you, and at this point, before I support this, I'd like a referendum from the voters. I'd like the voters to tell us that this is a good idea.
Okay, Pete, that's why the voters elected you. So if you don't want to be in elected office, maybe you should not run for reelection.
Nope, I'm
Because the
all-
voters already put you in position,
Yeah.
and let me speak, to put you in position to make tough decisions like this.
Yeah.
I've given you the information. I'll provide you more information for Monday. You're being very combative.
I'm not
We're
being very combative.
I'm speaking, sir.
Yeah.
We can afford the program. We wouldn't be here before you if we couldn't afford it. Okay? We do know we need a new police station. We do need a new city hall facility. Do we need a new school? Yeah, we need a new school. Absolutely. Could we take other measures? Probably. We could. But we do. Do we need a facility with a pool? No. Am I working with people like the Boys and Girls Club, the YMCA, and people like, yeah, I am. Actually, and it may not be all city's money. Maybe lots of privately funded money coming in. Is that product before you? No, it's not. This product is before you. And I'm telling you, this product it can be afforded. And there's not going to be any increase to tax base. And if you really ask taxpayers in the city, if they'd like to see, maybe you need to move out of the area and talk to other residents that I talk to. They do not like coming to this
Well,
building.
move out of
I'm
what
speaking
area?
still.
Well,
You
move out of
you
what area?
spoke, and now
I'm asking for
I am.
clarification. What
Now
area?
I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
What area?
Well, you tell me that people tell you we can't afford this, we can't afford that. They don't tell me that. I talk to everybody. I'm around the city hall every day, all day long, schools, down the parks.
Maybe I'll leave City Hall.
No, I'm saying around the schools, the parks, streets, dedications. No one's come to me and say, actually, people like the idea. They love the idea. Because you know why? People are tired of seeing the same old dirty buildings, the same old dirty stuff. In 8 years, we made a ton of progress here. You can deny it all you want. We have. And they're called elections. Look at the results of the elections. People like what we're doing in my administration. Okay? This is a plan. You don't want to support it? That's okay. We'll give you all the information you want to hopefully convince you. But you're saying that we're gonna make people go broke. I'm a taxpayer here. My family owns, between my aunts and uncles, we own a lot of pieces of parcels of property in the city. We don't want to go bankrupt. Why would we want to lose our investment? You think I would do it to my family? No. I am trying to make your property value more valuable. Check the ratings of people's property in the last 7, 8 years. Have the values gone up in the city of Everett? I think we're like number
Have their
top
taxes,
5 in highest percentage
Have their taxes
of
gone
increases. Highest percentage of increases.
have their taxes gone up as
Taxes
well?
go up everywhere, Pete. They go up everywhere, every city. Taxes go up everywhere. But so does the cost of living. So doesn't everything else. Look at a gallon of milk 5 years ago. Look at a loaf of bread. Taxes go up. Business goes up.
Yeah. That, for me, is not justifiable
Okay.
information, because the average, as we heard this from community development, the average taxpayer in the city of Everett makes under 50 grand a year, okay? Their perspective is a little different than yours.
The average taxpayer or the average resident?
Average
Don't say
resident.
taxpayer
Average
now.
resident, but who's paying the rents? The average resident.
Homeowners pay the taxes on properties.
Right, but the average homeowner is collecting rents and paying those taxes with that.
And
when
rents
the
are pretty
taxes go
affordable
up-
here.
When taxes go up, it's very difficult to move that increase over. In most cases, you have to eat it. Okay? I really have nothing else to say.
Neither do I.
Counselor Hanlon?
I had 2 questions. One was answered, what was going to happen to this building, if not, but that's, you answered that. The other thing, I haven't heard mention of the radio building.
E911?
Yeah.
We're gonna, if the project goes well, the E911 would be relocated into the new building,
With the police department?
the police department.
Okay.
Did it, Counselor?
No, that was it.
Oh, okay. Counselor Florio?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Mayor, I don't like to see good money thrown after bad. I come from a different generation, and when you do something, you do it right. That's my opinion. I'm gonna ask the auditor. He's the auditor. I'm not an auditor, okay? I have to trust what you say and what the auditor says on record. So whatever happens 2 years from now, my constituents can't blame me. I have to go by what the auditor says, because none of us are auditors over here. Mr. Auditor, Richard Biscay, can we afford these not just this project, all these projects that we have in front of us, can we afford them without the taxes skyrocketing?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I have to know, because I don't believe in throwing good money after bad. The city has done this for years. They keep patching and patching and patching.
Right.
If you keep patching your house and patching your house, no, you're not gonna get high rents.
Right.
Because people want good things. People want modern things. They want granite countertops. I don't wanna leave the debt to my children or my grandchildren. I wanna fix the city. I don't want the houses, the city buildings falling apart so that my grandchildren have to pay for it. This is what I would prefer. As far as anybody calling us, yeah, people are concerned about their tax dollars, absolutely. So are your parents, Mr. Mayor. Everybody is, because
Sure.
the cost of living does go up.
Right.
And the pay does stay the same. The pay doesn't go up, okay, as much as the cost of living. So everybody is concerned. But if we have other debts that are coming off, and it's not gonna cost us as much, and we have growth coming in, I believe we have growth coming in. I think we have a lot of growth coming in, because I see the city changing. I've said the city stopped growing 30 years ago. Now that, not just the casino coming in, Charlestown, Boston, they're all growing. Medford, Malden. We're the only city that hasn't grown, and we're starting to do that now, and I'm proud of it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question for the chair if no one else does. Couple of questions. What's happening is, like Council just said, we waited for a lot of stuff. If it was the schools, we know every few years we have to we're getting overcrowded. But the city hall, we waited and waited and waited. Now it's time to move on, to improve our facilities, what we have. Renovation of fire station, you know, people watching, seeing what we're putting the school up, the new city hall, renovating a fire station, a new fire station down the line area. Their questions are, what I'd like to have is a breakdown, which you said you're gonna give us Monday. Could we have a breakdown on if the taxes, if they do go up, how much they would go up for the next, I know it might be hard to figure out.
It's only hard to
Two or
forecast.
three years?
It's hard to forecast your new growth numbers.
Right.
You know, like for instance, the Market Forge site. What's that going to be? What's that going to be paying in taxes? Like the Swansburg building that's just sold. Hopefully, ZBA approved the reuse of 100, unit hotel. What was that assessed at prior? What is it assessed at today? What are the taxes coming in on the hotel tax that we're going to get from that facility? All those numbers are new growth numbers. What I see and what I hear from developers and the different development conferences I'm going to and talking, we all know what's happening in Everett. We all know what's going to happen in the city. Your value of your property is going to go up. You're going to get some connectivity to either the new station down at Chelsea, some DMU service will be on 2nd Street. You're going to get a Purple Line, hopefully stop. You'll probably get some connectivity. We're working with Secretary Pollack now to get some sort of connectivity over to one of these Orange Line stations. Wynn is in conversations with DOT about doing some connectivity. Once that all happens, the value of your land goes up. Value of Route 16 and 99 becomes more valuable. You have people down there already buying properties for double and triple figures. You can ask some of the people who, I think you all know some people who've been approached. So all those numbers are all new growth numbers. That's like someone paying $100,000 in taxes a year is now paying $1 million. Your new growth number is $900,000. I mean, your tax on that $900,000 is, let's say, the value is whatever it is, 100 grand, 200 grand, whatever it is. But that's all new growth numbers, right? So, so I should probably explain that better. If a building was assessed at $1 million today, and they're paying $44,000, the tax rate's $44,000, they're paying $44,000. That building goes from $1 million to $2 million, they're paying $88,000. So now your new growth number is $44,000. That $44,000 is a raw number that can pay your debt on your $200,000 toward, so now all these different properties are changing, so your new growth numbers go up. Can I give you that number? I can estimate, we can estimate it. We can sit down and give you that number. Can we afford this project? Absolutely. We can afford all the projects. We can afford it without taxes going up. If you want to stick money toward the tax rate, I'm fine. We have money to stick towards the tax rate. We do it every year if you want. But all we're going to do is create problems when we do that. Taxes were historically low in the city. Mayor, you can probably attest to it when you served before I served. With a big thing around here with the prior administrations before you and I, keep taxes low, keep taxes low, keep taxes low. Don't fund the pension system like you went out and funded it for $11 million because it was your duty and obligation, right? You did that and you didn't have to. But that's what the thing around here was. Keep taxes low. Don't fund nothing. Don't do anything. We're doing all that stuff. With Richard, the last couple of years, we established that fund, that the OPEB liability, making sure that everyone's pensions are going to be in place when they retire. We're not looking to bankrupt the city. I am not looking to bankrupt the city. I think with the staff that I have, the research that we have, the people we talk to on a daily basis, we know what's happening in Everett. I think we all know what's happening in Everett. People come to the city. Someone just bought a house on Linden Street a little while ago. They come to the city. They come to the city because they know good things are happening. Your municipal building looks like crap. Looks like it was built in the 1960s. It really does. Right, right. I mean, your inside of your stations, are horrible. Does things when house values go up and it becomes more attractive neighborhood? Do family sizes go down? Yes, it does. Will we have as many kids in the school system? We'll probably have a little bit less. Is that going to happen next year? No. Will it happen in 10 years? Yeah, I think so. I think you'll see different things happening here in the community. Why we're the biggest growing community in schools? Because everyone's leaving Somerville and Cambridge and everywhere else because they can't afford it and they come into Everett. And that's happening. That's why we have these big immigrant families. Where us immigrants, we all know that I'm probably one of my parents only have 2 kids, but most families have lots of kids. Rosa, how many kids do you have, Rosa? 5. 5 through the school system. You know? Yeah, absolutely. But those people, you're going to see, a different, different things happening to the community. And we're going to make sure it doesn't get totally, goes that route. So but
I just biggest concern is we see, probably in our first time, maybe what I could see in history of a lot of spending going on in the next 5 years.
yes, I agree.
Between the new city hall and all these other projects, the money we spent for the city workers, which they need, there's no question about that. We waited too long.
We did.
And it's hitting us all at once right now.
You're right. You're
And
right.
As councilors, we're just nervous and people are watching us saying, like I said earlier, what's this gonna cost?
Well, I tell you the old story about, down Glendale Park, 4th of July. I think I have to tell you this story about these husband and wife telling me how they were voting for John Hanlon for mayor because Dave Ragucci built a high school on this location. He's spending all this money, Fast forward year after, swear to God, man, I dropped dead and died. It's a true story. The same two people said, "Isn't this school beautiful? This high school is so beautiful." And I just thought it said, and that's why you say, why you wait for so long, Mr. Mayor? Because the first 3 terms, Mayor Hanlon, you do one right thing in a 2-year term, you get bounced out for doing that one right thing. And so I treaded water. You just kept things. You did little things like islands and banners and flowers and milling and that kind of stuff and tree planting. This is big stuff because we are a big city and we have the muscle behind us, and it's time now to act. It's time now to act. This is a great city. It's going to be even greater. We always were great. We lost our step a little bit, and not due to anyone, just circumstances. I sit at tables sometimes at MAPC or Metro Mayors, and there's 14 mayors, and I look around, and we're the only city not connected with some sort of service. And you see all the other cities with, commuter rail line and orange line and red line and green line, and they're booming, and we're not. So, that's going to happen here.
My last comment, is there any way we could have, you're gonna give us a breakdown Monday?
I'm going to give you as much as I could possibly think of. I know
Do you
exactly
know what,
what.
almost, I'm not gonna say guaranteed, what projects do you know, let's say a hotel where Market Forge was, if that is, looks
No,
like.
I'm not saying Market Forge. Hotels that Market Forge right now is kind of up in the air. But
An area that you think something big is gonna come in, I'm gonna say if you're 75% sure it's gonna come in, just so we have an idea of what may be helping us with this spending within the 5 years. I know the casino's coming, I just wanna see him take a bucket of dirt out, then I'll kinda be happy out of there, but.
I'm going to give you as much realistic information as I can. I'm not going to give
Okay.
you hyperboles and say if this happens, this happens. Is that hyperbole? No. What's that word? I'm trying to be smart these days. Hypothetical situations. Yeah. What's a hyperbole? What is that? It's grammar. But I'll give you as much information as we possibly humanly can to make you all give and I think Rich will make himself available. Melissa will make herself available this week. So will I. Tony, that we can go, I think finances is the big thing. I think we all can agree that the buildings are all,
There's no
need help,
question.
right? All the buildings need help. I think it's the finances, and that's what I'm getting out of this. And, I thank Councilman Napolitano for bringing that up. And, he's right. My parents, every day, the water bill. Everyone's talking about the water bill these days. But don't forget, we used to subsidize water in the city with general taxes. Now the water is on its own enterprise fund. So that's why the rates have gone up. And now we're starting to get every ratepayer to pay every month, where business owners never pay. But that's a separate story for another day. But we'll have as much information. If you have any questions, I would ask that you email us or call us. Email will be even better to Rich, myself, and Melissa, so we can make sure we answer them. We'll try to give you, if we're gonna. We're working with the chief and I think in our planning office on a master plan for the fire department. The fire department is very intricate. You have to make sure that you can get to certain places at a certain time, and if you relocate something, and make sure that they can still service the city. So that's why. Fire station is a priority of mine. It's probably #1 priority for me. But so is in this building. We have thousands of residents that walk through this building. We have. John, I know it's you got to go back there and type away after this meeting, so I want to get done as soon as I can. But we have a lot of organizations looking for community space, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay, just one more thing, comment. Is there anything being done in the casino for a fire department? Is there gonna be a facility in there?
I mean, the chief can better answer that question. I mean, they have, I think, to say, do they have like you can have a truck in there and that kind of stuff? That has not been,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, thank you. Any more questions, councilors?
Okay, well, Is there be excused, the customary thanks?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For the what? That's not on here, is it?
You want to stay, you want to?
Yeah,
The Council Hanlon got a question?
if I could, maybe, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I'm not sure it's here. The buyback of the street lighting and whatever?
Yes.
Okay, that's in here too?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have lots of questions on this too. I don't have them with me, but I'm gonna try the best I can, okay? We have 29.
Would you like to just come into the office one day this
No.
week and go through it?
I could, but right here, 2,931 lights, okay, poles that we're talking about. I don't believe we have 2,931 aluminum poles in the city of Everett. And I think that a lot of these lights are on wooden poles.
Yeah?
And if we're buying wooden poles, we're buying more headaches than we can possibly believe. Number one, the poles aren't in that great, the aluminum poles aren't in that great condition either, but the wooden poles are worse. And those wooden poles have tenants on them. It will have, the electric company will become a tenant, the telephone company will become a tenant, the fiber optic will become a tenant. We don't have Western Union anymore, but I know we have the cables that hold them up, guide poles that hold them up. We have lightning grounding rods that are on top of those poles. That all requires someone to do some work on them, you know. And I didn't realize that we're talking about wooden poles until I was standing out in front of Rocco's Funeral Home and looking up that street, and you see hundreds of, well, not hundreds, but a lot of wires on those poles, and they all get lights on them. And so that's when I realized we're talking about wooden poles also. And I think the problem of double poles will become ours. You know, we're trying to get rid of all kinds of double poles in the city of Everett.
At least you know we'll get it resolved.
Huh?
At least you know we'll get them resolved when they're ours.
Right, but we're gonna have to pay for it. And so, and that's not an easy thing to put up a pole, because you know what's happening, and if you ask the electric company why they're not doing it, they're saying because the tenants won't move their wires. So, you know, the telephone, they got the electric off, but the telephone company's not coming in, and neither are the other people that are using those poles. They're not coming in to do those things. And, I did a thing in Vermont, by the way, because they changed some poles up there, and I made them write a new law that said if they want to change a pole, they have to get every single tenant to agree to have those poles, their wires taken off those poles by a certain date, or get fined $100 a day. Up there, that's like $1 million a day to them. They wrote that law up there, and we should do the same thing here. When we get a pole up, before they can touch a pole, and they're gonna be our problem now, we gotta tell these tenants that they have to get their wires off to do whatever it's gonna be, you know? A lot of them should go underground anyway, if we're gonna start doing a lot of things, you know? But, I'm not really convinced that this is gonna be such a great deal now, talking about, these poles, because I think we're opening up, you know, the biggest headache you can possibly imagine, taking these poles in. And you know, the $200,000 we're talking about savings, I think that's gone in the wind, because of what these problems gonna come up with, you know. And I looked at the chart you showed me. You never hear the expression of, you know, comparing apples to oranges? But they're talking about kilowatt hours, and then they're talking about the way that they're charging. I can't add that chart up. No way that I can make that chart come up to be what the figures that they're saying, because they're talking about two different things. And it just doesn't add up. And you try it yourself. I can't do it, and I'm pretty good in math, but I can't do it unless there's a conversion table that will tell you how to get kilowatt hours into the way that they want to, the way they want to build. And then they're saying, you know, this is what we build, but this is what we charge. And that doesn't make any sense either, why they would build and then what they would charge. I mean, look at that chart they gave us. It says it right on it, you know, so,
Would it be beneficial if we maybe during the week, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, even Saturday, if we set some meetings up with everyone again, just kind of go to a bunch of things?
great, but I'm going to Vermont tomorrow until next Sunday.
Okay.
I won't be around.
To this Sunday? To Mother's Day or the Sunday after?
No, this, tomorrow until next is the 10th. I'll be gone from the 5th.
Okay, you'll be back for the 11th, though.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
oh, yeah.
Maybe we could have Michael Gove reach out to him on the phone. He's running the project.
Would you like that? Would you like Michael to reach out to you? You know Michael, the sustainability coordinator in the planning office?
Okay.
Would you like that?
Yeah, well, someday, yeah, sure, you know. but,
Okay, all right.
even tonight would be good, because we have no other meeting. You know, I don't mind staying here.
Is Mike on the building still?
But I don't have my notes with me, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I should, that's.
You're leaving tomorrow, you said, Mayor?
No, I'm leaving at 6 a.m.
Tomorrow morning?
Yeah.
6 a.m.
Matter of fact, I'm leaving at 5:30.
We'll have him at your house at 5. No. We won't.
All right, well, we'll have him call your cell phone. All right.
Any more questions, councilors, on anything?
No. Yes. Second motion.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. I didn't know that was in here. So we've got 1 and 3 done?
Yeah, we have to vote on this.
Oh, number 1 now? I'll make a motion that favorable action and refer to the,
What's your recommendation on one?
favorable action, refer it to the council.
All in favor?
Aye, oh, I'm sorry, aye, aye. I'm so sorry.
All opposed?
All right, item number 2, this order of by Council Frank Capone as president, that the city appropriates the amount of $2,088,000 for the purpose of paying costs of sewer system for infiltration and inflow projects.
Which one are we on?
2, John. Yes, see if he wants to read it first.
Who's here on item number 2?
Thank you, City Auditor.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion that we invite the engineer to this case. Okay, our auditor. Yeah.
State your name, gentlemen.
Richard Viskey, City Auditor.
And
Engineering.
to our auditor, our illustrious auditor, I don't think I have any questions for you tonight. And our city engineer, Mr. Engineer, I see a lot of markings on the street. I see a lot of water pipes going in. I see a lot of gas pipes being put down. Is this something that we're gonna do, a lot of this in the city now? Because I see them all over the place. They're digging up roads and everything.
Yeah, it's part of the capital improvement. We're fixing all the utilities, sewer, water, gas.
How big is that system? I mean, how big is that gonna be? Where are you going? I mean, I see marks on lots of, every place I see a mark, is there gonna be some construction?
Yeah, most of the areas are actually full construction. We have projects from last year that we've carried over.
Okay.
So it's a full construction regarding utilities too.
Is everything we planned gonna get done? And are there anything left, is there anything being left out?
No, actually, we're on target on what we're actually doing right now.
Okay.
In terms of the request that we're looking for right now, it's just to upgrade some of our sewer lines because we have MWRA funding that can help assist to fix the old lines that we have in the city. Most of the utilities we're doing right now is actually the water, and apart from National Grid, we want to improve on the sewer lines too.
If when you're finished with this, there is some part of it that is not finished, I would like to be notified. I'd like you to notify the council of something that on this project was not completed, your part, okay?
Yeah, we'll try and get your schedule.
Because you never know what's gonna happen, I just wanna know, okay?
Mhm.
Thank you. I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Move favorable action, Mr. Chairman. Refer it favorably and whatever.
Is there a second on that?
That's 2, that's 3.
Oh, you made, second it? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
All right. Item number 4, this order of by Frank Capone as president, that the city appropriates the amount of $325,000 to pay the cost of purchase of various items of enterprise departmental equipment, including the payment of all costs incidental or related thereto.
City Auditor. You state your name again.
Richard Viskey, City Auditor.
We're gonna get your own tag up there.
What's her name? Hello. Hello out there.
Good evening, Mr. Viskey. What are the various items of enterprise departmental equipment, including the costs of incidental and related, therefore, and that, what is it we were talking about here?
Oh, the actual equipment that you, Ernie could probably explain it, but it was in the water and sewer capital, the budget, and there's 3 water sewer vehicles that he needs, and, Ernie certainly can explain it, each vehicle for you in better detail than I could.
Could we have you across the-
Just one quick question, Mr. Viskey. Why isn't that in the order, the specifics, rather than keeping it on such a vague, the various, I mean,
Now,
if it's specifically vehicles, I mean, wouldn't it be appropriate to put the vehicles in?
The language came from bond council, and,
Okay.
and the detail is in the budget, so sorry for the
All right, no, I just want to
confusion.
be,
Yeah.
just want to make sure that.
Yeah, bond council wrote all the language, so I'm not, I don't want to take too much responsibility for
Yeah.
how it's worded.
It's not what we read, it's what the public reads when they see it on our site, and they need to understand what that means. That's the only reason why.
No, I
was asking
understand,
that.
the crosswalk is into your budget book, but it's 3 vehicles, and Ernie can certainly explain the vehicles.
Good evening, gentlemen and ladies. My name is Ernie Larivia with the Water and Sewer Department. These 3 vehicles, one is a dump truck, 6-wheel dump truck. This is, currently, we don't have one. We use DPWs when I can get it.
So these are the 3 vehicles that were in the water enterprise budget?
That's right.
Yes, sir.
All right, that answered my question. That's all I was
Oh,
looking for.
sorry, all right.
Yeah, no, it doesn't say it, and that's where it says purchase various items. It's vague. It could be open, it could be, 1,000 cases of pens, for all I know.
No, I
So
understand
I just
it.
wanted, that's all I was looking for.
Yep, no,
So
sorry
we're
for
talking
the-
about the 3 vehicles, the dump truck, and there was a.
Dump truck, emergency service truck,
Mhm.
and valve maintenance vehicle truck
Right.
with a gate turner.
Yep, no, I specifically do remember your presentation on that equipment and the necessity for it. Okay, that's fine, that answers my question. Thank you.
Counselor Hanlon?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ernie, I'm sorry, what's your title?
I'm the superintendent in the water department.
Okay. Superintendent of the Water Department, how are you involved with the Water Enterprise Fund, the Water Sewer Enterprise Fund?
Fully. I am in charge of that.
That's you?
Yes.
So the Water Sewer Department is really the Water Enterprise Fund? You handle that, okay. The amount of $325,000, we're gonna put that out on bond? Is that
Yes,
right?
sir.
Yes.
Okay. Who's gonna pay that bond? I mean, does it come out of the Water Enterprise Fund, or does it come out of
Yes,
the city
it's,
fund?
the debt service for the 3 vehicles will be paid through the enterprise fund budget, so this year you adopted that budget, but you'll see the debt payments on the fiscal year 17 budget.
Oh, okay, okay.
And it's fully supported by the rate, so this is a 0 effect on the taxes. It's part of water and sewer operations, and it'll be funded
So this is
from
all
the
related
rates.
to Water Sewer, the enterprise
That's
fund.
correct. And the I&I, the 2.088 million you just voted is also part of the water and sewer enterprise. Some people call it water enterprise, but it's really the water and sewer enterprise.
How long is the bond gonna be for, Mr. Viscay?
On departmental equipment, it's 5 years.
5 years, okay. Thank you, no further questions, Chairman.
Any more questions, councilors?
Second motion?
Thank you.
All in favor? Thank you, guys.
Make a
For
motion
it
to
out
refer-
with a pause. Go ahead,
You bet.
please.
You know, you
No,
go.
no,
Make a
please,
motion
by all
we-
means.
We refer it to the, I was again gonna say common council, refer it to the city council with favorable recommendation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Make a motion we
Ayes
adjourn.
have it.
No, we've got another item.
All right. Next is a resolution by Council Rosa DeFlorio, that the city of Everett considers offering early retirement center program, similar to what the state has proposed.
Could we invite Melissa, the chief of staff, up?
Why is this in this financial committee?
Because they were gonna give us the amount,
Okay.
I guess. Somebody sent it here, I didn't.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Melissa Murphy, Mayor DeMaria's chief of staff. I think just to make it a little bit easier, I'd write it out and go over it with you if that works. Okay. So, since the mayor took office in 2008, we've offered 2 different retirement incentives, and they were very different. So the first one that you see here was in 2009. It was an internal plan. It was not sanctioned by the state. We had 14 full-time employees and 8 part-time employees take advantage of the program. It didn't add any time to their age or to their years of service. It was just a monetary incentive. And the cost of that program was $390,000. So we had approximately 22 people retire, and it cost us $390,000. In 2010, the City Council adopted the Municipal Reform Act. Part of that plan was a local option for early retirement incentive. 10 people took advantage of that program. So currently, the city contributes $171,000 per year for 10 years to cover the cost of that program. So that program allowed employees to add 3 years to either their age, their years of service, or both. And per that plan, we could only fill a certain number of positions back a year for 5 years. So the first year, if you had 10 people retire, you could only bring 3 people back, only 30%. The next year it was 40%, the year after that 50%, and that was where we saw the cost savings. After 10 years, you could refill all those positions if you wanted to. Both of these plans, you didn't have to allow someone to retire. So for instance, say you had someone come and retire, it was, I don't know, a position that you couldn't lose, and there was no cost savings, you could say, no, you can't take the incentive. The current plan that's proposed for the state employees, and it hasn't passed yet, it's state employees only, but I just want you to keep in mind that it is 5-year plan, so it would be more expensive than the 3-year plan was, because you could add 5 years to your age or years of service. I think this is the information that you were looking for.
Right, well, what I'm thinking is, if someone retires at a step 8, and you hire somebody new at a step 4, I'm just using hypothetical numbers, I don't know how you start. So now, you are saving on the salary, and also, people coming in today, they pay 13% towards the retirement, whereas with the older people that have been here a while longer, they only pay 5% towards the retirement.
Right. And
So you would be making money on other ends, and you also would be opening the job market to these young kids coming out of school.
well, there certainly is cost savings that come with people who have had longer years of service, especially union people. So in the union world, these are typically 5 steps, step 1 through 5. And once you get to your 5th year, you no longer increase your steps anymore. You're capped out, but you still get your cost of living increases. So typically when a new person comes into municipal government, they would start at a step 1. So right there alone, you see a cost savings. Each step can be anywhere from a few $100s to a few $1,000s, depending on the position.
So is this something the mayor would consider putting into place, or?
The mayor said he certainly would consider it. We'd have to take a look at what is affordable for the city. Obviously, at this time, the plan that's proposed by the state hasn't passed and is not eligible for municipal employees. So there would be 2 ways we could go about this. We could do it the same way we did the first one in 2009, offer this internal plan where they get no time, but you might have someone who maybe has 20 years in and says, for $10,000, I will retire. For $20,000, I will retire. And, that's a savings for us for health insurance reasons and many other reasons. The other option would be to try to do a home rule petition, getting permission to do our own retirement plan that would allow us to add time to age or years of service. Obviously, that plan is more attractive to employees, less attractive probably to the employer because it is more expensive for us.
Well, I'm not looking for it to cost the city money. I'm looking to save money and also open the job market to the young kids, like I said, to the young kids that are not working.
Right.
So I'm not looking for it to cost us any money, so.
Well, interestingly, the first plan, we actually had more people take it. If you look at it, it only cost $39,000. They didn't get time of service or time added to their age, but we did have 26 people take that plan. So it was attractive, and it was people who maybe were kind of saying, I'm gonna retire next year. I'm gonna see if I can get another year in, so that I'm at 21 years, so I'm getting more. And this money actually was more lucrative for them, so they went out earlier.
Okay, well, I'll leave it up to the mayor to see what decision, he wants to make.
Okay.
And then
I can update the council.
you want to update the count, what?
Sure.
How much time? 2 months? 1 month?
1 month is fine.
1 month.
Council Napolitano?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. How many employees are eligible to retire over the next 10 years?
Off the top of my head, I have no idea, but I can look. So eligible to retire is kind of an interesting, thing. We'd have to take a look, would you want teachers and, city
Well,
employees?
If you're, in this resolution, we're talking about all city employees, right?
Right.
So that would
include
all
teachers.
city employees. And I'm assuming that the most likely candidates for an early retirement would be people within the next 10 years.
It's typically, yes. So the way that the first plan that we worded, the 2009 plan, you didn't have to retire. You could just, it was kind of more of an incentive to leave. I guess that it would be a better way to describe it. Not everyone who took that incentive retired. Some people just took that incentive and didn't work here any longer. Maybe went to another job. A lot of people who took the incentive were police and fire. And those are the kind of people, there is, I believe, and I wish Chief Butler was still here. I know that there's three firefighters and several police officers who are kind of on the cusp and have their 20 years in, and are continuing to stay, just maybe for who knows what reason. As far as the schools go, I don't know, and I can get that information for you.
If we can get an idea about
Sure.
approximately how many employees are affected, would be potentially affected by this, I'd feel more informed.
And like I said, it would depend how we wanted to word it. If we wanted to word it that you could get the incentive, but you had to retire, it's different than if, we're just asking you to leave.
Well, if they have to retire, do they still have to be eligible, at least 55 or older?
Right.
Okay,
Yes,
so
so
that
it's usually
also
55 and
cuts it
older.
down. So I'd also like to get an idea of how many employees are,
Sure.
in that.
And that could be
range.
anybody who has 10 years in, and is 55. They don't necessarily have to have.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Happy to help.
Counselor Hanlon?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Quick question, are the school department considered city employees?
Yes.
Okay. Nice question.
Counselor Florio?
I don't want anybody being forced into retirement.
no.
I want to make that clear, okay? That's number one. And number two, because my husband works for city services, if the mayor decides to do this, I want him excluded from the package.
You can't,
Why?
because it's discriminatory, state law.
My husband's
You
not gonna
can't.
retire anyways, but I just want to make it clear,
If it's voluntary, it doesn't matter.
okay? You can exclude people, you can say no to them, right?
Well, the way that we drafted the original plan, and Colleen was involved in
Chairman,
it as
excuse me,
well,
Mr. Chairman.
is we did allow people to,
Excuse me,
yeah.
We're getting very off on the wrong track here. I think we should just forget this question even existed.
We won't allow them to retire anyway. We need them. No, just kidding.
Just from the chair, how many people retired and then came back?
And then came back, 3, at a part-time, on a part-time basis. We had 3 retire and
And
come
was
back.
it 20 hours a week?
Less, 16. So,
Okay.
yeah, we had 3. And I believe one of them doesn't work here anymore, so now there's probably only 2 left.
Okay, thank you.
Under this incentive, that may happen, at other times, but under the
Right.
incentives, yes.
Okay,
Right.
thank you. Any more questions, councilors?
You'll be excused with customary thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second the motion to let this remain in committee for another time period.
All in
whatever that
favor?
happens to be.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. We'll adjourn.